Welcome back, everyone, to the Thursday edition of the 3-Man Weep College Basketball Show, presented by SportsbookReview.com. I am your host, Mr. Matthew. Jim, Ky, Jim to my left, Ky to my right, depending on what angle you're looking at this. I think that makes sense, right? Left, right. Anyway, just right above me, above my beautiful mug here, you'll see SBRpicks.com/NCAAB. That's where you can find all the expert content, picks, analysis, etc. It's all right there. Also, SBRodds.com. It's basically a mandatory prerequisite to have that open as you watch our show. Line value is king. That is the motto of this program. I will kick it to Mr. McKeon first to tell us what he learned from the wacky Wednesday that was in college hoops last night.
Well, Matt, it wasn't such a learning as it was a reinforcement of something I already knew. And that's that. This is why I don't bet on Mizzou. It's an emotional train wreck for me when I bet on the Tigers and they end up losing. It was a classic letdown spot for the Tigs. I think every Mizzou fan had it in the back of their head. This is a game we lose. But hey, the beat goes on. Mizzou is still a very good team, still in the tournament. Let's keep positive. I got my little Mizzou shirt on still from Home Field Apparel. But Matt, your Hoosiers, my second point was Indiana survival. Yikes, that was close. They almost lost Northwestern in overtime. I'll kick it to Jim, actually.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, Ky. The Indiana comeback survival was very key. I also was pleased to see SLU looking a little bit more like itself once again. They now got 2 straight wins against St. Bonaventure and Rhode Island, looking much more back to normal there. Physically dominant game yesterday. Their defense was on full display. So the Billikens may be back to the level they were pre-shutdown, or at least getting close. Happy to see that, Matthew.
Yeah, that was my takeaway, Jim. So only thing I'd add is when you're reading St. Bonnie convincingly, Rhode Island with Fats Russell, a healthy Fats Russell from what it looked like last night, pretty convincingly. There was a little backdoor garbage action there. If you're a roadie +8 backer, you'll have to take a shower after that one. But so the point is, big picture, SLU is back, right? So however you are capping SLU to start, post-shutdown, I think you put those Dayton and those LaSalle losses in the review. And the Billies are often marching again as they try and reclaim that at-large berth that they had a stranglehold on back in what seemed like, December? So let's get into it. We have a heavy dose of Pac-12 action. I made the outline today, so I wanted to skew heavily toward Jim's territory out there, the West Coast, Best Coast. We also got some mid-major showdowns as we'll finish off at the end here. Getting to that point in the season where a lot of these conference races are heating up, stakes are high, conference championship, regular season titles mean a lot in terms of determining the automatic bid. So there will be a lot of juice in the building in these two that we'll get to at the end. But to start us off, we're going to Palo Alto, Colorado at Stanford. It's a matinee tip, I believe, of 6 or 5, a local time, Jim. The Buffs open as a short favorite in this one. Jim, you and I stand with the tree. We've been standing for the tree the last few games. Almost been not better, but I guess you probably just go ahead and say better without Dejon Davis, their veteran point guard. 5-star freshman Zaire Williams has been in and out of the lineup. I think there's been some addition by subtraction there. They've rallied around the nucleus that they have there. But it's just, it's an interesting spot tonight. I know that Colorado's a tough matchup for them. Do you think they show out well tonight?
I lean towards Stanford here, Matt. They got Bryce Wills back last game, and I think that's enormous on both ends of the court, but especially defensively. He can be the guy that shadows McKinley Wright all over the court in this one. And if you can kind of short circuit his offense, that cuts the head off the Colorado Snake. So big to have Wills back. And then Dallaire has emerged for Stanford as just a huge threat for them. I think he has 20 points in like 4 of his last 5, something like that. They're coming off that weird post-Super Bowl game that they actually dominated. They only won by 6, but they were up by 18 with 4 minutes left. Yeah. It was all Stanford. Don't be deceived by the final score. Kind of a tough schedule spot for Colorado. They played Saturday, Monday. Now they got the Thursday game on the road. It's just, I think it sets up a little bit well for Stanford here. I'm not ready to make it a show pick, unfortunately. I'm close, but I'm not quite there. But a big Cardinal lean from me, Ky.
I'm actually pretty into this Colorado team. Rock solid all season, talented, experienced. I say well coached, Matthew. Tad Boyle, I'm going to give him the well coached.
That's fair.
Honor
that's
there.
Fair. Yeah.
Currently 15th in KenPom, 9th in offense. I mean, they've been just lights out. Game 1, guys. Colorado did win by 13, but no Spencer Jones was pretty big. You talked about Dallaire. Spencer Jones, also a guy who Matt's been on as certainly someone who's picked up the slack for Williams, Wills, and Davis being out of the lineup. No Bryce Wills in that game either. He is huge, as Jim mentioned. And Buffs, not great on the road. 4-4 this year on the road straight up. I just think they're the better team. I can see them holding the tree under 1 points 1 point per possession again in this one, like they did in game 1. So I actually lean towards Colorado a little bit. I'm sorry, guys.
Hey, I lean the tree, but it's not a big lean, and it's not large enough for me to take as a show play like Jim. I was hoping I would get it at +2, but it seems to be painted +1 right now pretty much across the board. Just a good note here for Colorado. Jabari Walker sounds like he will be out. He's been a revelation for this offense, kind of a freshman that's emerged as a dynamic forward, inside-out scoring threat. And if there's one area the Buffs have struggled to score under Tad Boyle's regime, it's been putting points on the board, but that's not been an issue this year. A lot of guys making shots, but Walker's really elevated that offense to a new level. So could be a little bit of a big loss that comes back to bite him in this game.
I think defensively he matters a little bit too against that Delaire, De Silva, Spencer Jones front line, just because he's versatile.
Mobile.
He can move.
Yeah, right.
Evan Batty, Dallas Walton don't have that same versatility, mobility.
Yeah, great point. Even with Jeriah Horn there, I think they need a second type of versatile defender, and so they could miss him dearly tonight.
Matthew Winnick mentioned in the chat here that Evan Batty hurt his ankle at the end of last game. I missed that. I did not see that.
So I didn't either.
If he's out, that could be huge for Colorado. We will be monitoring that as well.
Great point. God, I love in chat mob throws intel nuggets like that. I think he got hurt the game prior to and was potentially dicey for last game, so there could be a cumulative effect there of injuries. Yeah, I would love Stanford. If no baddies in there, that could be an Oscar De Silva field day up front. Staying out west, headed to some warmer weather. Oregon at Arizona State, going to Tempe here. Ky, the Sun Devils are scorching, true to their name, and I'm saying that sarcastically, tongue-in-cheek. Whoop-de-doo, a 4.1 over Cal and a 4.1 over Stanford. It does kind of feel like if you're going to buy back in or ever on this Arizona State team, a talent-laden bunch that garnered a lot of buzz in the offseason, this is probably the time to do it. But they're getting Oregon tonight, who is a team that also could be a great buy low candidate. They're starting to get healthy. 2 game-time decisions here loom large. Eric Williams, COVID protocols for Oregon, and then also, more importantly, I would say, Chris Duarte, badly sprained ankle last game. Both are true game-time calls. Ky, how are you factoring these 2 into the handicap here?
Yeah, it's huge. I think you need to know Duarte and Williams' status before you go bet this game if you want to be on the Ducks. They're on the outside looking in. This is a big game for them. They lost to Oregon State and Washington State, really only have a few true good wins, and certainly injury has been a big part of it. Unfortunately, when it all is said and done, the committee is probably just going to look at the record, the net stuff, ASU, Matt, you mentioned are scorching. Well, they're coming off kind of a mini shutdown. I don't know if it was a shutdown within their program. I don't think it was. It was just an unfortunate lag in playing. They haven't played since January 30th. It's been a while for Arizona State. Maybe that's good for this team. Maybe they needed to hit the reset button. I think Arizona State's pressure could get to Oregon, Jim, but I am not confident to take Arizona State in this one, especially at -2. That's gotten a little too high for me.
Yeah, I really lean the Ducks here. I know the injury issues, but I'm considering adding against the steam regardless and just mostly hoping that Williams plays. I think Duarte is going to be out after watching that injury. I can't imagine he's back already. But I just think it's a terrible matchup for Arizona State offensively. Like, they want to drive. It's all dribble penetration, a lot of isolation stuff. And Oregon mixes in those funky zones. They make it really tough on you to get it going that way. It's got to be, you have to score on them via ball movement, and that is not Arizona State's the preferred route of scoring. Not a great shooting team either, surprisingly, considering how guard heavy that roster is. So I think this matchup is really in favor of the Ducks. And if I can get one of Williams and Duarte in there, I'll be pretty happy taking them as a road dog here, Matt.
Yeah, Paul Ferguson in the chat mentioning that Oregon's offensive efficiency drops from 1.18 to 0.96 with Duarte off the floor. I do think with Will Richardson now in his 3rd game back, I think his presence sort of mitigates that drop-off, although he has not looked like his old self. He has 10 turnovers the last 2 games, shot the ball well in the last one against Washington, but clearly still, taking some time to get acclimated there. But we expect him to be the alpha when he's at his best. But this Oregon team is going to be awesome with all hands on deck, all fully healthy. The question is, how close are they to that tonight? Sort of up in the air there. All right, our last West Coast showdown here before we get a chat mob break. Actually, we'll do 2 more for you, a chat mob break, and then we'll get out to the mid-majors there. But UCLA at Washington State. Going to Pullman, Washington here. Jim, I think the whole world knows which way I'm leaning here, as I've been a Kyle Smith defender, flag bearer for the entire season. UCLA just got trounced by their crosstown rival USC. Granted, that was without Cody Riley and Jalen Hill, and that's, basically just like last matchup. 2, I would argue, even larger game time decisions or question marks for tonight. Jalen Hill sounds like he's most likely going to be out, though, at personal issues. Cody Riley, the more important big, day to day with an ankle injury. I think the Wazoo could dominate up front without him. How are you looking at this one?
I tend to agree. The Wazoo young bigs are really, really
Awesome.
good. They're
Yes,
physical, they're athletic. Abogidi is a revelation. He's like already on pro radars, apparently, because he's got a little bit of a perimeter stroke too. Mega athlete. So yeah, they could dominate the paint. But Matt, last time UCLA shredded this zone, just completely destroyed. 1.36 points per possession for UCLA against Washington State. It was a joke. Pauley Pavilion, complete domination. I'm a little nervous. I mean, I would have thought the zone would be useful here because you take Tiger Campbell pick and rolls just out of the equation for UCLA, and that's big for them. But man, they dominated it. I would lean towards Washington State because of the interior dominance, but that first performance, it's enough to stay away. And it wasn't really fluky shooting. I mean, they were 9 for 16 from deep, but it's not like they hit 15 threes. So I'm staying away on this one, Matt.
Yeah, 30-point game, Jim. I mean, it was a total evisceration. Washington State's been good against the spread recently, and I would say UCLA hasn't. Losers of 2 of the last 3. Injuries, I think, is the main issue for the Bruins, obviously. Chris Smith, he's been out for a while now, but I think it just keeps kind of catching up with them. And when you take out Hill or Riley or both tonight, I think the UCLA might be a little bit in trouble. 4 points is a little too low for me to take Washington State in this one. They're still going to need big games from Bonton and Williams. But yeah, I do lean towards Kyle Smith and the boys, Matt.
Yeah, I just want to put an exclamation mark on the importance of the Riley and Hill status. Last game without both, UCLA called upon a recently reclassed, should be a senior in high school, Mac Etienne. I believe he's a fairly highly regarded recruit. Hadn't played a lick all year. They throw him in the fire for 27 minutes against Evan Mobley, like arguably the most talented big in the country. So I feel bad for that kid, but just to kind of give you a sense of what UCLA is up against, how thin that big man rotation is after Riley and Hill. So you have to know about if they're in the lineup, if you're going to back UCLA. All right, next game here. We had Oregon State at Arizona. Ky, I'll give you the title of Mr. Beaver. You've been banging this drum for most of the season, and they've been – actually, I'll just call you General Corvallis, sort of a bit off General Cornwall. Yeah, thank you. I'll give myself a B+ for that. But yeah, I mean, Wayne Tinkle, I give him credit. He's extracted every possible ounce of talent, of opportunity out of this roster. It's one that I'm not really that excited about, but they continue to be competitive. They got run out of the building by zone in the first matchup. Is there any sort of revenge value here for the Beavers?
Yeah, Jim mentioned the PPP stats for UCLA. Arizona, 1.38 points per possession against Oregon State in this first game. There's no resistance inside. Oregon State's big, but they're kind of soft in the middle. That's not good against an Arizona front line that's, in my opinion, one of the best in the country. But lately, Matt, they've been really over-reliant on Akinjo and Brown. Both are streaky players. You can get a cold game from one or both of them, and the wheels can kind of fall off. This is a big spread, 11.5. Oregon State's been better than we've expected. So I actually kind of lean towards them competing tonight. Again, I think Arizona's going to absolutely destroy them inside and on the glass, but the number, Jim, has me leaning towards the Beavers.
Yeah, last game was kind of Benedict Mathurin's coming out party for Arizona. He had 31. I think it was the first game Jamal Baker missed after he got hurt, and that was like an eye-opening experience to see Mathurin go 6 for 7 from deep. But yeah, it's a little bit like that Wazoo game, where the first game was so dominant. It seemed like they kind of cracked the code. Jordan Brown had 25, 10 for 12 shooting for Arizona. Clearly, they owned the paint against the Beavers and should do so again, like Ky said. So, yeah, between number and matchup, I don't have enough here to make any sort of play. I'm staying away, Matthew.
Yeah, I'll stay away as well. I actually kind of lean toward Oregon State. My number does favor that side, but I'm worried about the matchup. Yeah, Mathurin, just one of these there's a laundry list of international guys that Miller brought in this year, and they're sort of starting to figure it out. You could argue Arizona has some buy low value as well, but I think we still need to see more before making that proclamation. All right, we will pause there for chat mob questions. Chat czar, Ky/Jim. Jim holding his hand up. Thank you for taking the initiative.
Jim.
Let's go through them.
Got a long old list here, so we can go through quickly. Jonathan B. asking about Texas State at UT Arlington. Big brawl out in the Sun Belt here. I have a big lean. In fact, I'm going to take it on the show.
Me too. I'll join you.
Let's go under here, Matthew, is where I'm taking. I think 6 of the last 7 Arlington games have gone under. The only one that did not went to overtime. They've got this freak shot blocker they brought in who sat out last year, didn't even play college basketball, but he's blocking 15% of shots. I can't even begin to pronounce his name, but he's completely changed the way they play. They've slowed down. He doesn't score, but he defends the rim. Give me the under in a slow game. Texas State likes to crawl it up. What do you got, Matt, here?
I'm going to join you on the under, Jim. I was more excited about the side. I'm taking the Mavs here. So I guess I'll have a little correlation for here in this game. Mavs side and under for the reasons Jim mentioned on the under. I just think Texas State's gotten a little bit overrated. They played really well the last few weeks, but I think 4 of those games were against Little Rock, who's a complete shambles. So I could argue part of their value is just caught up in those games, which is a little bit misleading in the markets. UTA, they've not been the same UTA team we saw non-conference, but they're due for some shooting regression. Not that they take great shots, but I think they're too talented to be such a short dog against a Texas State team that's good but not great. So I like the Mavs here tonight.
Matt, I hear you, but without David Azor, I can't trust Arlington, and I've been on the wrong side of so many Texas State bets that I'm staying clear away.
Yep.
Ferry,
okay,
you might
Matt.
be a smarter man than I. The number is +1.5, Jim. Is that correct?
Yeah, +1.5 on the spread, 127.5 on the total is what we're getting here.
We're in.
Okay, let's move on. Jim Bean and multiple others. Iowa State at Kansas. Big one on the docket in the Big 12 here. Well, maybe not that big, but I think we all like a side here, guys. I'm going to lock it in on the show. I don't know if anyone will join me. I'm taking Iowa State +15 is what I'm seeing right now. They've been super feisty as an underdog. I think they compete again here. Kansas, not super convincing lately. So I'm going with the Cyclones. Matt, you're joining me?
I'm joining you. Worried about the matchup. Iowa State's officially doing this 4-out, 1-in thing. They've not defended the post that well this year, and that's the one area where KU can't score. We saw them dominate Okie State up front with that. But if Prom can devise some way to limit McCormick up front, I think they keep it close.
Yeah, this spread's enormous. Iowa State's done nothing but cover since Javon Johnson's gotten back. I'll stay away for show purposes, guys, but I do lean towards Iowa State.
All right. We've got a question from the NEC from Durko Gaming and Tom Morrow, and I think others too. Fairleigh Dickinson at Wagner. Another game that I think a lot of us have a lean on. I might go 3 straight chat mob plays here. I'm seeing Fairleigh Dickinson +2, +1, and it's probably +1 more, but I will take him. Fairleigh Dickinson +1. Locking it in, Matt. You joining?
Yeah, Fairleigh Dickinson. We've said it. It's the most undervalued, mispriced team in the market right now. Yeah, I think there's another game or two of value runway, and I think this is not a great matchup, not a great spot. Wagner getting healthy, got some size. I think they're well coached, but I think FDU is a better team. They're on a mission right now.
I have nothing to add.
All right. Love it. Ky, do you have anything to add on the big battle of the state of Idaho, the potato brawl, Idaho and Idaho State? Anything for you there?
Yeah, I continue to toot the horn of do not bet on Idaho. So fade them or stay away. And Idaho State is actually a well-coached team. They are not devoid of talent. They have a lot of JUCO guys that have really grown up, I will say, in the last year or so. So, yeah, I lean towards Idaho State. It's a huge spread for these two teams. Historically, if you saw this spread, it would be very shocking. But I am leaning towards ISU. Matt, you disagree.
I took Idaho small. I just think Idaho State -9.5 over anyone is just foolish. And I don't know. It's stupid. Idaho's awful. I'm probably going to regret it. But kind of like the K-State play. It's a close your eyes bet.
Yeah, I made this exactly what it was. Very glad to stay away from betting Idaho State as a big favorite or Idaho at all.
Yeah, stay away. Stay away from it.
A couple games that we will be waiting until our best bet section on: Portland and Pacific and Morehead State, Tennessee State. So we will get to those, but we're holding our takes on that one, holstering for now. Chris Hairston asked if I could explain the line movement on Weber State and Montana State.
I can.
Check it out. Ky, go for it.
Weber State's better. That's the line movement. I actually have Montana small in this game. I don't trust it at all. Weber State's the better team. They've shown time and time again in conference. Montana's been a bit of a disaster. However, at home, I kind of lean towards them getting this one done.
Yeah, Montana's one of those teams that we expect to be better. Program's a lot better. They've just been overvalued this year because they just have not lived up to that billing. And Weber State is really been awesome, rock solid all the way through. So I'm with Kyle on that one.
Yeah, Weber just swept Montana State at home at the D, and now they're playing Montana. I think I misspoke there. But, going on the road, maybe a little bit of a tougher matchup here. It could be a slow-down game the way Montana is playing lately. So, staying away from me. John Doe and others also asking about Eastern Kentucky and Belmont. Should be a track meet here. I think Eastern Kentucky was definitely looking ahead to this one as they barely got by SIUE. Ky, anything in the OVC for you?
Yeah, that game was ridiculous. They should have covered easily. No, nothing for me. I'm going to lean Belmont because why wouldn't you?
Too.
They're unbelievable. And high possession game.
Yep.
Makes me like them even more. Even the spread seems high, but this team is amazing. They're 20-1 this year, Matt.
Yeah, Nick Musicki is going to dominate up front, and they should handle the pressure pretty easily. I trust the guards there. If they get into the half court, it's going to be Musicki for drop step layups, little baby hooks all day.
Yeah, there's a Belmont versus Drake debate to be had, but we won't do that right now.
Ooh.
Yeah. Down in the Sun Belt, Georgia Southern at Georgia State. Matt, a Georgia Southern team that has given us hemorrhoids and stress all season.
Yeah, I'm not sure why I just fist pumped. I'm not excited about this game, but I did take it at I think 7.5, 8. It's down to 6.5. Thank God I don't have to endorse as a show play. This is a fierce rivalry. Both these teams hate each other. It feels like this is a game that always plays closer to pick. Georgia State's the better team, but they're out of a COVID shutdown, 2 games out of it, I should say. And Georgia Southern's arguably just as talented. So I just think you've taken basically almost the same caliber talent in a rivalry game, catching 6-7 points. I think that's a good bet.
I think it's too high, Matt. I agree. I think Georgia State's more talented, though. You like Georgia Southern too much, in my humble opinion.
I do. I think I do too. I need to give it up, but I don't know. I just think they have.
Elijah McCadden last game is a pretty huge deal for Georgia Southern. He's the guy that we watch and we're actually like, oh, he's competent and smart.
Right.
Like he doesn't
smart. Yeah, he's intelligent. Doesn't do dumbass shit like half the team does. Yes.
Yep. All right, we've got plenty more. How many more do we want to do, Matt? I'll ask you.
Let's go back to
rundown.
Let's go outline. We'll hit these quickly. One Big Ten game we want to highlight tonight. It's Minnesota. Ky, your Gopher boys. There's been some steam alert though on this one. The market's been betting on Minnesota. They're buying into the home Minnesota narrative against the Boilermakers of Purdue. A team that we just waxed poetic about on our podcast last night. We love these freshmen. We love what Trevion Williams is doing. We love how Matt Painter is molding this team into form. Jim, I'll go to you here. What are you looking at in this one?
Well, I'm looking inside. First of all, I think Purdue can get a lot of points in the paint. They did in the first game. Minnesota is surprisingly bad against post-ups. Per synergy, they're in the 28th percentile. That is no bueno against Purdue, whose offense basically revolves around Williams and Edey doing that. But on the other end, Minnesota can put them in pick and rolls. That's not great when you get Williams and Edey defending in space, and Marcus Carr can attack via that. So I don't know. I think maybe it's not quite as one-sided as the first one was, even though Purdue gets Stefanovic back here, which adds a little weapon to their offense. Ky, what about you?
Yeah, I'm hopping on the Purdue bandwagon with you guys. They've really impressed me. Matt's right. We did talk about them on our podcast recently. Currently 22nd in KenPom. That's their highest point of the season, despite being 2-2 over their last 4. Minnesota at home, guys, though, we've talked about it. Top 10 team in the country at home, and that's probably not hyperbole. They've been just excellent at the barn this year. Only lost once. I think it was to Maryland. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But, as Jim said, Purdue won that first game by 19 in West Lafayette. Certainly some revenge on Minnesota's minds. Purdue grabbed a ton of offensive rebounds, lived at the line. That probably continues. But I just expect Minnesota to come with a better effort today. Having said that, -3, -3.5, that's too many points. That's about what I made it. So no side for me in this one.
Ky, filtering Bart Torvik for just home games, Minnesota is 17th. So you're not very far off on being a top 10 team when they're at home.
So slight hyperbole.
I'm seeing Purdue at 3. I'll make it an official show play.
Wow.
So you're going against home Minnesota, Matthew.
I am. I made basically, I think this game a pick, so I think it's a coin flipper.
Yeah, I lean that way too, but I gave a little extra for home, Matt. So I think I'm a little.
You gave
nervous.
at least 3 for Minnesota at home.
Yeah,
I gave 2.5, which I think is respectable. Probably not the respect they deserve this year, but I don't know. I think a little bit just a little fluky. All right, next game. We got 2 mid-majors here. Finally, the little guy gets some love on this show. Eastern Washington at Montana State. These 2 teams are battling for the top spot in the Big Sky. Ky, there's been some early money here for the dog. The Bobcats taking some early steam. Seems like they took note of what Montana State did last weekend against Weaver, a team we just, heaped praise on. Both games played a lot closer than I think the final score indicated. That Montana State should have covered both a little more easily than they did. I think they went 1-1 against a number in that.
I don't think they covered either.
Or did they get backdoor on both? Okay, yeah. So
I think they
got late
they did.
Or front door, basically.
Or front door, yeah. But Eastern Washington on the other side, Ky, I think is falling prey to the Winthrop fallacy, which we'll talk about here very shortly. The best team in this conference, sort of showing some complacency against inferior teams. What do you think? What do you think plays out tonight?
Yeah, like you said, best team in the conference. Weber State, they scored 1.3 and 1.14 points per possession against Montana State's defense in their 2-game series. Just think what Eastern Washington can do. They are by far the best offensive team in the league. Transition and triples is the name of their game. Montana State should be good defensively, but Weber State totally destroyed them. I think Eastern Washington could do the same. Love Danny Sprinkle, love Montana State, but I do lean EWash here on the road, Jim.
Yeah, this has been bet down. I lean towards Montana State. I made this 2.5, and it's been bet down from like 4 to 2.5. So I agree with where the steam has moved it. Now I've got nothing on it, unfortunately. Like you said, Montana State got just blitzed by Weber State repeatedly. It was concerning for a team that should have had time to prepare in that one. Eastern Washington hasn't really impressed me when I've watched them. I think the chat mom knows I bet on them a couple times earlier this season, and they're just not very good defensively at all either. So could potentially be a shootout here. If you want to take the over just for fun, I don't have a numerical edge or anything, but staying away, excited to watch this Big 12 brawl, Matt.
Yeah, I lean
Big
EWash.
Sky.
Big Sky brawl. Yeah, we'll get to the Big South here shortly, but yeah, I do lean EWash at the current price. I think drop down to 2, I might be inclined to take a small dabble there, but nothing at 2.5, which I think is the consensus line out there per SPRodds.com. Have that open, folks, at all times. All right, last on the outline, Winthrop at Radford. Man, Winthrop, what a narrative this year. They were on a quest for perfection. It was all ruined just 2 weeks ago by UNC Asheville. Now they're at large berth, or hopes are basically they've evaporated into thin air, and you have to win the regular season title here because they're basically chasing home court advantage throughout the Big South tournament, assuming that still holds. Ky, is this an angry Winthrop spot here that we've all been waiting for?
Yes, it is. Winthrop is extremely good. Like win a first-round game good in the tournament. I think they're a tier above the second best team in this league, who I do think is Radford. It's an impressive job by Mike Jones getting this team back to where they were last season, despite having a ton of turnover on this roster. But look at Winthrop's roster, man. Full of talent. DJ Burns played for Tennessee, 4-star recruit. Vodrin, their point guard, is like 6'7". He's awesome. And Adonis Arms, D2 transfers, averaging, he's the best scorer this season. He's a former 20 points per game scorer. Not sure how many he's doing this year. But, yeah, I think Winthrop has a huge advantage today against Radford. And I think they get it done fairly easily, Jim.
Yeah, it's been bet up. I don't know if I don't think I'm going to recommend it on the show, or at least officially take it. I would still lean that way, maybe smaller if you're still looking to bet it. Winthrop shot 3 for 20 last game against UNC Asheville from deep. That's not going to happen. They're too good of shooters. They will get open shots in this one. Radford's transition D is very good, but there's some clear matchup edges here. Winthrop can force turnovers, 14th in the country. Radford's young backcourt is very turnover prone. Both teams are elite on the glass, so taking away Radford's option of offensive rebounds is going to be massive for Winthrop as well. So, yeah, I want to take Winthrop, but I see it at like 5.5 in some places. I can't quite get there.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, 5 was where I was. It's tough to endorse over 5, but man, this is such a juicy spot. I mean, I watched Radford get thrown a loop by the UC Upstate zone. I mean, Winthrop's pressure is far superior to that. And I don't think they can stop them on defense either.
Matt, you can you can get, if you wanted to take it, 4.5 is enough out there.
Can we call it 5 and split the difference? I'll just call it 5. I'll be okay. I'll be respectful.
Wow, you just want plays, man, today.
That's great. I want action. Look
at that attitude. Wow.
I've been kind of a volume guy lately.
It's not like volume guy. Well. Ironic, because you play the least amount of plays all year.
I'm historically an anti-volume guy, but a new stone is being turned over. Yep, Winthrop -5. That'll be my final play. And let's recap our plays. Ky, do you first, your best bet, and then what else you're on tonight?
Best bet, here we go. LIU +4, I believe it is. Might be coming down a slight tad. Spread's too high, guys. I'm not a Derek Kellogg fan at all.
I have bad news, Ky.
How bad is it, Jim?
It's 2.5 right now.
Naturally. I'm going to still take it. LIU +2.5. I made this game pick. Tempo battle, obviously. LIU gets up and down. I think they have the 6th fastest tempo in the country. Mount St. Mary's really slows it down, makes them play in the half court. But ball handling for Mount St. Mary's is suspect, especially without Jalen Gibbs, who is out for the year quite a while ago at this point. LIU is going to force a lot of turnovers. They have a lot of talent for an NEC team. Yep. Besides Bryant, they're the most talented team in this league, in my opinion. So I think it's a close game, or they went outright in this one. So LIU +2.5 is the spread we're going with.
Any other show plays for you, Ky?
I got one with your best bet here, Jim.
Okay. All right. I will hop in on that then. I'm taking Morehead State on the road at Tennessee State. I'm a little bit nervous because Morehead has a look ahead to Belmont here. But minus 7.5 is what I'm seeing. I will take it there.
Me too.
Tennessee State's really beat up. They were missing 3 key guys last game.
Yeah.
Fitzgerald, without him, they cannot score. Morehead State's defense is incredible, very switchable. Johnny Broome is a revelation in the paint.
Oh, yeah.
So as long as they're at least like somewhat focused on this one and not looking ahead to that Belmont game, I think they win by double digits. So Morehead State minus 7.5. I also have Fairleigh Dickinson +1, Iowa State +15, and Texas State, UT Arlington under 128. What do you got, Matt?
I should be adding them. Just a little worried about Morehead as a favorite. Feels like they're just a better dog. They make their hay on the defensive end.
When's the last time they've been a dog?
Well, I mean, they're not a larger favorite. Like if Tennessee State and Tennessee Martin, they played close this year, they should have probably beat them by more. So I don't know, just an anecdotal feel. But I think you guys are the right side, even though I'm not joining you. My best bet, I can't believe I'm endorsing this. Portland. Yes, Portland. The Pilots, the team that's won one of their last 100 conference games. They're catching a boatload of points. 15.5, I believe, is the updated number. 15. Second game under the new coach. Terry Porter has been ousted. Ben Johnson is the new general in charge. Man, I've been doing way too much fan forum reading. Sounds like there's a rejuvenation of energy and excitement within the program. The players actually played hard last game for a change. His final score against Pepperdine's misleading. Pepperdine was on fire from 3. I think second game back under new regime, you get a pretty competitive effort here against Pacific, who should be deflated after the big Gonzaga game a week ago. So Portland +15, boom. I am also on Texas Arlington +1.5. The UTA under, as Jim mentioned, Iowa State, Fairleigh Dickinson, Purdue, and Winthrop. My goodness, that's way too much action for one night.
Look at you, all-star.
My head's spinning. Jim, let's hit some rapid-fire chat questions. Sorry, I went a little bit long, folks.
All right, yeah, I don't think any of us are brave enough to join you on Portland, but I wish you well there. My number leans that way, to be fair.
So does mine.
All right, Scott Schaefer, UNLV at Boise State. He actually was wondering if Boise State would end up one of our best bets today. I lean towards UNLV. I think they can match them for talent, and they were sleepy at home against Air Force, but they should be up for this one. Although Boise State's off that sweep at Nevada, so not going to officially recommend it, Matt.
Yeah, no recommendation here on the show play, but I do lean that way just from a number perspective.
Ky off the extra board, Charleston Southern at High Point. Saw some chatter that maybe Charleston Southern could be a money line upset special. What are you seeing on that one?
I saw another guy who said High Point -9's a lock. I don't think either side's a lock. I wouldn't trust either team. 9 points is just too high, so I actually lean towards Charleston Southern.
Yeah, heavy with Charleston Southern lane. High Point -9 lock? What? No, I can't.
7.5 now, yeah.
7.5. I mean, I wouldn't take 7.5 probably.
Yeah, leans toward Charleston Southern, but not at the current number. Harry R. and Dom the Don, multiple people asking about Louisiana Monroe at the Cajuns, Matt. I think you have a lean on this one that might upset them.
Oh, Monroe. I'm in on this Monroe side tonight. I just think the number's too high. Louisiana talks about how they're still trying to find roles with the loss of Brian Ayu, who's their point guard. So it sounds like there's a little bit of a shuffle.
Huge. Missed last game. Yep.
Yeah, missed last game. So I think without him, I think Monroe has some value, who's now finally healthy. They got Harrison back in the last 2 games. So they've not been very good, but they're good enough to cover 10 or 9.5, whatever it is right now, 9. I think 9 is the – okay.
I think he was a D2 All-American, if I'm remembering right. But yeah, I lean towards Monroe as well.
Longhorn Lover, another one in the Big South. I'm not sure any of us have a take here. Campbell at USC Upstate.
0 takes.
Shrug. Campbell might get a couple of their bigs back. Carolero is the more important one. He basically runs their Princeton offense. He's the passing big. But I've got nothing there.
Yep. McCullough's the other one too. No, good notes there. You're right.
Yep. Another Sunbelt question. Keontae Lynch and the Don Juan asked about Troy at South Alabama. I think we all liked the opener here, guys, but it got hit immediately.
Yes,
really?
Bet down from 8 to 6.5. We liked Troy, right, Ky?
I was leaning Troy. Yeah, I'm not taking it at that price, but Trojans are feisty, man. Scott Cross doing good things.
Yeah, I would like 6.5 if I knew for sure that Cam Woods is playing, a key guard that missed last game, but given where it is right now and his health uncertainty, I'm not going to take it on the show right now. Okay, we missed one Pac-12, guys. We got to complete the set here. Utah at Cal. I lean towards Cal at 5, but it's been bet down a hair. It's under 5, tough to recommend. Cal's been pretty bad lately. They covered against Stanford on Super Bowl Sunday, but like I said, they were getting blitzed that whole game. Not a strong take there. Anything for you, Matt?
Yeah, Utah's Jekyll and Hyde. I wrote down I wanted to like Utah, but my number actually likes Cal. And so both teams are very unpredictable. Basically, they're microcosms of the wacky Pac-12, so I'll stay away.
All right, Paul Ferguson, SIUE at Tennessee Tech. He saw the steam was coming in on Tennessee Tech. He wonders if that's mostly a fade of SIUE in the schedule. I think it is. I'm guessing that is exactly what the market's looking at. Tennessee Tech's been awful as a favorite, and they were also shorthanded last game. No Kenny White, no Demaria Franklin. So got to check in the lineup there too.
Hey, they've had 2 days off. It must feel like an eternity for that team. So it's actually like the longest break they've had in almost a week or so. So I don't know. No take there for me.
All right, 2 more quick ones from the extra board. Andrew Meistruck asking about Gardner Webb at Longwood. I agree with him. I lean Gardner Webb as the short favorite.
Yep, lean Webb.
And then the Battle of St. Francis, Pennsylvania versus Brooklyn. I lean towards the Red Flash at home. I just think they're not as bad as they've shown right now. They're not the worst team in that league, and they currently reside last in that conference. And St. Francis Brooklyn could be missing its point guard again, Chauncey Hawkins. Without him, they've been a mess.
That's the important point. I almost liked Brooklyn at the opener, but I remembered Hawkins. Cannot bet them without Hawkins.
Yep. Oh, sorry. I missed 2 real quick from Mitch McCarthy. It will hit him.
Long show.
Oh, who cares? It's 37 minutes. Austin P against Tennessee Martin. Lean towards Austin P after they just lost outright. Anything for you guys?
Yeah, she'll be angry. Martin is, I think, fully healthy sans Holt. So they did look a little feisty last game, but for some reason, Austin P took them way too lightly. So maybe they come out angry and put it on him today, but no lean for me, Jim.
Yep. And then also Hampton Presbyterian. I have absolutely nothing there. I made that number about spot on. No lean. Ky?
Nothing.
No Pirates life for me, or no
hose.
No hose life for me. That did not. That went poorly. Okay.
Yikes. Okay.
And it's about time to sign us off. It's really good.
Wrap it up, Maddie. Wrap it up.
SPRodds.com, SPRpicks.com. The links are above you. We will be back tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks, folks. Take care. Good luck.